everyone, good evening. Welcome to today's session. Today we'll be discussing a very important topic of verbal reasoning, and the topic is analogies. What do we understand by this topic or by this concept? So, if I say A is to B, now a relation between A and B would be given. It could be any type of relationship. And what are the different types of relationships? That also we are going to unfold in the upcoming slides. But a relationship would be given, some relationship. So A is to B such as C is to, and then 4 options would be given. And you have to look for the option Yes, and then you have to look for the option that shares the same relationship with C as A shares with B. So the first thing that you have to do, the first thing that you need to do is analyze the relationship between A and B. Analyze the relationship between the first pair which is given to you. And then, keeping into consideration that relationship, you have to select an option that would share the same relationship with, let's say, C in this case. So the most important thing in this particular topic is understanding the type of relationship between the first pair and then accordingly choosing a synonymous relationship. Let us try to understand. So first, if I say brave is to courageous, such as smart is to, and now I have to select an option amongst the given options, 4 options. So the first thing that I need to do here is analyze the relationship between brave and courageous. Obviously, brave and courageous, they are synonyms. So the relationship is synonymous. Now, smart is given. The word that I will choose should have the same relationship that brave and courageous share. Brave and courageous are synonyms, so I need to choose a synonym for smart as well. Out of the given options, I need to choose a synonym for smart. Here, my relationship, the first type of relationship that we are going to discuss, synonyms. Okay, so now smart, intelligent, slow, weak, harsh. Incorrect, 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 correct. So A is going to be my correct option. Brave is to courageous, such as smart is to intelligent. And the type of relationship here, synonyms. Next type of relationship could be antonyms. Ancient is to modern. Now we're talking about opposite words, words that are opposite in meaning. Ancient is to modern, such as expand is to. Now I have to look for a word that is opposite in meaning to expand, because the relationship that we have established here, that these two words share, they are opposite in meaning. So increase, no, synonym. Grow, synonym. Extend, a kind of synonym. Shrink would be an antonym. So ancient is to modern, such as expand is to shrink. The second type of relationship that we can encounter, antonym. Next, part to whole. Keyboard is to computer. Now keyboard is a part. Keyboard is a part of computer. Okay, so the first word represents the part. The first word in this particular pair represents the part, and the second word represents the whole object, the whole entity. So this is a part to whole relationship. So keyboard is to computer, such as tire. Tire would be a part, and now we have to look for a whole, right? Car, road, rubber, engine. Tire can be made of rubber, but that is not our concern here. That is not the relationship that we are looking at. We are looking at a part to whole relationship where the first word of the pair represents a part, the second word represents the whole entity. So tire would be a part of car. So here, car would be the correct option. The reverse could also be asked, whole to part, where the first part represents the first part of the pair, the first word of the pair represents the whole object, the whole entity, and the second word represents a part of that entity. So here, tree represents a whole object and branch represents a part of that entire object. Again, body, whole. Now we have to look for the correct word. Organ, brain, arm, hair. Now if you look carefully at branch, branch is an extension that protrudes from a tree. Branch is an extension, an elongation that protrudes from the tree. If we look at if we look at a tree as an object, as a whole entity, then branches elongate or protrude from that entire object. Similarly, if we look at body as a whole object, as a whole entity, then arms protrude out from that whole object or whole entity. Here you could say that organs are also parts of a body, brain, hair, all represent parts, but you have to analyze the correct relationship. You have to analyze the correct relationship. That is important. Next type of relationship, object to function. The first part would represent any object and the second part of the pair would represent its function. So scissors is to cut. Object, the function is to cut, such as telescope is to. Now we use telescope to observe stars or planets or whatever is there up in the sky, right? So measure, we are not measuring anything using a telescope. Walk, draw, incorrect, incorrect, incorrect. The correct option would be observe. So scissors is to cut, such as telescope is to observe. If we look at the next relationship, object habitat or animal habitat. Fish is to water, such as bird is to. Okay, fish is to water, such as bird is to. Grass, air, tree, soil. Air would be the correct answer. So this could be another relationship. Another such relationship would be object and content. A given object and what is present inside that object. What content does it have? So pen is the object and ink is present inside the pen. Ink is present inside the pen. Similarly, pencil is an object and what is present inside the pencil? A pen helps us to write because ink is there in the pen. If the pen were to be devoid of that ink, it won't serve the purpose of writing. Similarly, we are able to write with a pencil because there is lead inside it. So object to content, pen is to ink, such as pencil is to lead. This is another type of relationship. Next, object purpose. A particular object and the purpose it serves. What is the purpose of that object? Book is to read, such as food is to. So we read a book, and we eat food. The purpose, we eat food. So book is to read, such as food is to eat. Option B would be the correct option. Next relationship, worker to tool. Worker to tool. The first part of the sentence would consist of a worker, and the second part would consist of a useful tool that the worker uses or that the worker is associated with. Farmer is to plow, such as doctor is to. So a farmer uses a plow for farming, and doctor uses a stethoscope for examining the patients externally. So option C is the correct answer here. Next type of relationship, worker product. Worker product. Chef is to food. So chef makes food, such as author is to. Chef is to food, such as author is to. So chef prepares food, chef makes food, and author writes a book. So chef is to food, such as author is to book. The next relationship, member class. The first part of the pair would consist of a member, and the second part would consist of the class. Okay, so sparrow is to bird. Sparrow is a type of bird. Sparrow is a type of bird. So sparrow is to bird, such as salmon is to. Salmon is a type of fish. Okay, salmon is a type of fish. So we would say sparrow is to bird, such as salmon is to fish. Member class. Next type of relationship, characteristic. An object would be given and you have to identify its characteristic. So honey is to sweet. The characteristic of honey is that it is sweet in taste. So honey is too sweet. Here we are talking about which particular characteristic? We are talking about taste. We are not talking about its color. We're not talking about its shape. We're not talking about how it looks. We're talking about its taste, how it tastes. Identifying the correct characteristic is also important. Honey is yellow in color. Lemon is yellow in color. Well, honey is goldenish in color. Lemon is yellow in color. But I cannot select that as the correct answer here, because the characteristic that we are talking about here is not color. It is taste. So we need to establish a similar relationship. Honey and sweet and lemon and whatever should share the same relationship. It should not be the case that here we are talking about taste and here suddenly we are talking about color. The relationship needs to be the same. So honey is to sweet, such as lemon is to sour. People tend to get confused in such questions because one could debate that, okay, lemon is yellow in color, so why is the question incorrect? It is incorrect because that is not the characteristic that we're talking about here. We're talking about the taste. Honey is too sweet. We're talking about the taste. So again, this part should be pertaining to the taste of lemon and nothing else, no other characteristic, not shape, not color. Okay, so keep that in mind. Next, worker, workplace. This is quite simple. Doctor is to hospital, such as teacher is to. So a doctor works in a hospital, and similarly a teacher works in a school. So doctor is to hospital, such as teacher is to school. The next type of relationship could be animal, sound. Dog is to bark, such as cow is to. So a dog barks and a cow moves. So dog is to bark, such as cow is to move. First part of the sentence or the pair talks about a particular animal, and the second part denotes the sound it makes. The next type of relationship that we could encounter, animal, home. Bird is to nest, such as bee is to. Bird is to nest, such as bee is to. So beehive would be the correct answer. Hive. So animal and its home. Next, characteristic comparison. Now you're not talking about well, you are talking about a characteristic, but you're comparing the characteristic. So for example, if I say elephant is huge, elephant is huge, I am comparing size here. Okay, I am comparing size here. So if I say elephant is huge, ant would be small, because I am comparing size now. So elephant is too huge, such as ant is too small. So you need to identify the characteristic that is being compared in the first pair, and then move on to the question. Next, group place, where a particular group could be present. Students is to classroom, such as patients is to. So you will find students studying in a classroom and patients would be in a hospital ward. So students is to classroom, such as patients is to ward. Next type could be instrument measurement. Okay, this unit measurement. So meter is to length, such as kilogram is to. Meter as a unit is used to measure length. So kilogram as a unit will be used to measure what? It would be used to measure mass of an object. So meter is to length, such as kilogram is to mass. Next, organ function. Heart is to pump. The function of heart is to pump blood, such as lungs is to. Lungs help us to breathe. So heart is to pump, such as lungs is to breathe. Now let's look at some questions. Let's solve some questions. Let's try to establish the relationship between the pairs and try to solve some questions. First, obfuscate is to clarify, such as exacerbate is to. Obfuscate is to clarify, such as exacerbate is to. We need to first establish the relationship. So you need to know the meaning of words. Otherwise, you will not be able to establish a proper relationship between them. If you do not know the exact meaning, you will not be able to comprehend whether the words are synonymous or they are opposite in meaning. So it's very important to first of all try to know the exact meaning of the words. Okay, so here obfuscate means to confuse or make something unclear. And clarify means to make something clear. Make something clear. So, to confuse and to clarify. So, the relationship is they are antonyms. We need to establish the relationship first. We have established a relationship. The relationship is that they are antonyms. Okay, so now exacerbate, it means to worsen something. To worsen something. To make a situation more difficult or more problematic than it already is. To exacerbate a situation. So now I need to choose a word that is opposite in meaning to this word. Because the relationship, antonyms. So exacerbate, worsen is a synonym, aggravate would be a synonym, intensify would be a synonym, relieve would be an antonym. Relieve would be an antonym. So relieve is the correct answer. Obfuscate is to clarify, such as exacerbate is to relieve. Next question. Milk is to cow, such as wool is to. Milk is to cow, such as wool is to. What is the relationship here? We need to establish a relationship first. The relationship is source to product. The relationship is, product to source. The relationship is product to source. Milk is the product, cow is the source, wool is the product, the source would be sheep. The source would be sheep. If I reverse the sentence, if I say cow is to milk, such as wool, such as sheep is to wool. So then we have source to product relationship. Then we have source to product relationship. Next, fish is to swim, bird is to. Fish is to swim, such as bird is to. We need to establish a relationship first between fish and swim. Animal movement. Animal movement. Fish is to swim, a fish swims, and a bird flies. So fish is to swim, such as bird is to fly. Next, lion is to courage, such as owl is to. Lion is to courage, such as owl is to. We first need to establish a relationship. Okay, so the relationship, animal and symbolic representation. Animal and its symbolic representation. A lion symbolizes courage, and an owl symbolizes wisdom, as wise as an owl. Okay, as wise as an owl. So, lion is to courage, animal symbolic representation, such as owl is to animal, and symbolic representation would be wisdom. Next, Mercury is to planet, such as neon is to. Mercury is to planet, such as neon is to. Again, member, member, class. Mercury is a type of planet and neon is a type of gas. So Mercury is to planet such as neon is to gas. Next question. Finger is to ring such as neck is to. This one is quite easy. Body part, ornament is the relationship. We wear a ring on our finger and necklace on our neck. So, necklace around our neck. So, necklace would be the correct option. Next, ubiquitous is to rare, such as harsh is to. Ubiquitous is to rare, such as harsh is to. Again, we need to first establish the relationship. Again, vocabulary based analogies, synonyms, antonyms, you won't be able to answer them correctly until and unless you know the meaning of the words that are given in the question. You won't be able to establish whether the words are synonymous to each other or what kind of relationship they share basically. So it's very important, even in analogy based questions, vocabulary plays a very, very important part. Ubiquitous is something which is present everywhere. Present everywhere. So, the relationship between ubiquitous and rare is that they are antonyms. The relationship, antonyms. So, we need to find a word that is opposite in meaning to harsh. Cannot be severe, cannot be bitter, cannot be tough, as they are somewhat closer in meaning to harsh. So we will have to choose mild. Something which is not as harsh is mild. Next, sagacious is to foolish, such as ameliorate is to. Sagacious is to foolish, such as ameliorate is to. Again, vocabulary based analogy. A sagacious individual. What do we mean by sagacious? Sagacious is someone who's wise, who has good judgment. Foolish obviously means opposite. So the relationship Antonyms. So sagacious is to foolish, such as ameliorate. Ameliorate, to improve a situation, to improve something. To improve something. So sagacious is to foolish, such as ameliorate is to worsen. Now, if you do not know the exact meanings of words, there could be some hint hidden in the options as well. Now, if you look at the options, improve, worsen, upgrade, and enhance. Improve, upgrade, and enhance are somewhat similar in meaning, right? The only mismatch here is worsen. The only mismatch here is worsen. So, even if you do not know the exact meaning, sometimes hints are there in the questions as well. Next, obscure is to unknown, such as transparent is to. Obscure is to unknown, such as transparent is to. Something which is obscure again is not known, not very clear. Not known or not very clear. So unknown is a synonym. So now the relationship that we are looking at is that of a synonym. Now the relationship that we are looking at is that of a synonym. So obscure is to unknown, such as transparent is to clear. Pupil is to eye, such as petal is to. Pupil is to eye, such as petal is to. What is the relationship? The relationship is part to whole. Pupil is a part of an eye. Petal is a part of a flower. Pupil is a part of an eye. Petal is the part of a flower. So the relationship here is part to whole. Part to whole. Next, frown is to anger, such as smile is to. Frown is to anger, such as smile is to. What is the relationship? We frown when we are angry. So, anger is the cause and frown is the effect. So, my relationship right now is effect, cause. My relationship is effect, cause. We frown because we are angry. We smile because we are joyful. We are happy. So frown is to anger, such as smile is to joy. Next, verdict is to judge, such as diagnosis is to. Verdict is to judge, such as diagnosis is to. So here, what is the relationship? Role, worker. A judge gives a verdict. A judge gives a verdict, and a doctor gives a diagnosis. A doctor gives a diagnosis. Apart from the relationships that we have discussed, so let's have a look again. Synonyms, antonyms, part to whole to part. There could be, like a question that we discussed, there could be effect to cause, there could be cause to effect, as well as object function, object habitat, object content, object purpose, worker tool, worker product, member class, characteristic, and the reverse is also possible. I've not mentioned the reverse cases for all. So class to member is also possible, product to worker is also possible, tool to worker is also possible. So the reverse is also possible. Characteristic, worker workplace, animal sound, animal home, characteristic comparison, group place, unit measurement, organ function. So these are some of the commonly asked analogy relationships. The first thing that you need to do is analyze the relationship between the first pair and then accordingly solve for the second pair that is given to you. So that is all for today's class. Thank you so much, everyone, and I'll see you all in the next session.